Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Craig, my name is Mike Piwowarski. I will be joining you as co-host today. I just want to say up front, it appears as somebody broke into my studio and moved everything because everything is out of place. I am your co-host from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most. Here on The Rundown, where we bring you 2A views and conservative news. Craig, happy hump day.
Happy hump day.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
Woo-hoo! That's right, folks. Today is hump day. This is where we attempt to begin the weekend. We attempt to begin the weekend, before the weekend actually starts. Every once in a while, we are successful in beginning the weekend on a Wednesday, but it hasn't been happening very often lately for me, at least.
Chilata.
Very nice. It's very nice.
Chilata. Very good. It's the end of the day. You tell everyone outside in the sun today, working, and just.
Yeah, man, I'm used to, it's weird because even though you live in Florida, you still kind of do get kind of the pale pasty white Mike in the winter, but you look like you're getting some color, or maybe just your lighting is getting better. Maybe that's it.
No, it's today was one of those days where if you stepped outside, it was about 2:00 in the afternoon yesterday, maybe 2:15.
Mm-hmm.
Summer got here. Summer got here. It's just like, and summer greets you in Florida like this, bam, you in the face. And you're like, oh my God, when did that get here? I was just enjoying second summer, and I didn't know first summer was back. So.
Well, because you don't just have the heat, but then you also get the humidity, and that can really that'll sock you right in the face.
That's the difference, because I told you we got two seasons here, summer and second summer. And second summer is like, it's hot, but the humidity's not here, and summer's come back because you walk outside, and it might only be a 50-yard walk from the inside of the Wally World or Walmart or whatever you are out to your car, and you get there and you're like, it's not even raining. What is going on? I'm drenched.
I spent one
halfway through and take a break. Yeah.
I spent one summer working. I worked in Boca for a summer, and I will tell you, the hardest thing to get used to was, as soon as you get out of the shower and you go to dry off, you're never dry.
Yeah.
You just stay. It's like I gave up on the idea of not being sweaty. I just wanted to make sure I didn't stink.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, listen. One, down in Boca, you're a little closer to the water, so you've got that sea humidity, so it's that salty humidity. And two, you're probably moist from all the cologne you wear.
No, just good antiperspirant or deodorant. Not so much antiperspirant, more deodorant.
Right, like that was my Dracar Nar somebody left on the counter.
Yeah, I don't wear Dracar. Perry Ellis 360. That's what I wear. It's what my wife likes.
Right.
Ain't that right, babe?
Sure, draw on.
I'll know if you watched it now, babe. Now I'll know if you reference it. But anyway, Mike, before we get started, how about a quick shout out to our sponsors so that they, let's get them on the front end instead of the back end this time.
Oh, they like it when we touch them on the front end. It's Guerrilla Machining Grid Defense, our good friends at the California Republican Assembly, and the newest to the party, uscombatgear.com. uscombatgear.com.
Look, folks, these are the people who make it possible for us to be on here with you. So what we encourage you to do, please, the link to all of their websites are in the description of this video. Please take a moment, visit them. If you like what you see, kick them down some scratch and let them, by the way, kick them down some scratch is, that means give them some money, buy some product, become a member, yada, yada, yada. I promise you will like what you see. I promise you'll find some stuff that you'll want to invest in there. But when you do so, please do us a favor and let them know that it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you to them. So check them out. Each and every one. Also, please take a moment, like, share, subscribe, However you're watching us, make sure you are subscribed. Also, make sure that you are encouraging your friends to do the same. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Rumble. You can now see us on Twitter via Periscope. You can even watch us on OpsLens, which is a fantastic way to watch the program on your big screen
phone.
TV. 1080 P or I forget which one it is. But anyway, watch us there and you can comment on all of those platforms. Please make sure you guys do that. Once again, and encourage your friends to do the same. All right, let's get into today's story. And as you all know, following the shooting that took place over the weekend, white supremacy is all over the news because that's one of the many things that the president decided he was going to talk about yesterday, which, by the way, kind of our theme for today's episode is going to be basically all the lies, misinformation, disinformation, and falsehoods that were told by the White House yesterday. It's pretty much going to be the theme of today's show. So yesterday he talked about white supremacy. Now, the lie isn't so much that white supremacy is a poison, because white supremacy is a poison. It's not something that we should have or need to be seeing here in our country. My problem is the way in which they describe what white supremacy is. Because first of all, we do know the shooting that took place, or the incident that took place there in Buffalo, New York. In Buffalo, it was in fact done by a racist. I think he was as much of a nutcase as he was a racist. But I think nutcase played a bigger role in it. I think that racism gave him a platform. But if you had a chance to read the screed, and I don't want to call it a manifesto because it was really kind of out there. Really, there were so many things that were in it that were incoherent, some of which would lead you to believe he was on the right, some of which would lead you to believe he was on the left. But the one thing you kind of got out of it was he didn't like black people. And he kind of demonstrated that by his choice of targets, or where he chose to target with his shooting incident. And so anyway, there were a couple of issues that I have with this, Mike, overall about white supremacy. Number two, there was a guy who shot up a place in a church in Southern California who was Chinese and didn't like Taiwanese. So he decided to go to a church and shoot people who appeared to be Taiwanese. But you didn't hear the president talk about that at all. And I'm just kind of also wondering what role that plays in white supremacy.
Wait a second. Hold on. Did this guy know that it's Asian American Pacific Islander month? That means that all Asians are supposed to get along. There's not supposed to be any problems at all. Because when you go to Asia, it's just, kumbaya.
Yeah, it's supposed to be kumbaya there. I don't know exactly what it is that is going on there, but they are what they are over there, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is the case. Mike, the other issue that I have with the whole thing with the white supremacy has to do with, white supremacy doesn't mean what you think it means. You think white supremacy means, blatant racism and white people want to control the world. But what they really mean by white supremacy is, when you listen to and you read about critical race theory and all of that, it simply means simply means European culture. Meaning, when they say white supremacy, it's all of the things that upon which our nation is founded. That is what they mean by white supremacy. Yeah, I'm still not unfortunately, Mike, I am still not hearing you. So do me a favor, Mike, go ahead and log out, log back in. But yeah, no, it's a problem. So for example, one of the things they consider to be white supremacy is things like, being on time. That's a part of white culture, therefore promotes white supremacy. Things like being organized, things like individual rights and individual responsibility. Those are concepts. Individual rights and individual responsibility are concepts of white supremacy. I don't know why they're concepts of white supremacy, but supposedly, or they're products of white culture. But because they are products of white culture, Mike, they are a part of white supremacy. And so that is in essence how they're what they mean when they say white supremacy. But I don't know that is necessarily what Biden means when he says white supremacy.
Craig, I'm just thinking it's how did I get to be a white supremacist? I mean, I'm thinking about maybe I'll author a book on it. Where I didn't do anything different. I just stayed me, kept my conservative values, and all of a sudden I've turned from average, everyday, perhaps centrist conservative to now all of a sudden without changing my views. Now I'm all of a sudden a right-wing conservative white supremacist. I'm not sure how it occurred. I think it's kind of the same way when we saw Elon Musk say he went from just to the right of the middle to now all of a sudden he's just to the left of the middle. Now all of a sudden he's all way to the right because the left has moved so far to the left. And that's the problem. Is it, Craig? I'm not a white supremacist, but now it's defined as everything that I've done in my lifetime or anything that's been done in the lifetime of my relatives now makes me complicit in my white supremacy.
Well, but traditional Western values, period. I mean, like I said, things like individual rights, individual responsibility, in their eyes is white supremacy.
Yes.
Things like, capitalism is white supremacy. Free markets are white supremacy. If you go by what the Smithsonian says, things like being on time and being organized are considered to be white supremacy. I mean, those are white culture. Those are aspects of white culture or Western culture. And because they are white culture and because people are trying to force white culture on them, that's considered to be white supremacy.
Yeah.
Simply wanting to have, wanting the people to be on time, that's white supremacy.
Yep.
Wanting people to be organized and wanting people to, pay their own bills and people to be held accountable for the decisions that they make, that is white supremacy. But that's what many on the left don't understand is that the whacked out left, the critical race theorists, the social justice mob are changing the meaning of these words. Yeah. They do not mean what you think they mean. It's all part of the.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's all part of the big lie. Which, by the way, leads me to another part of the big lie that was being told yesterday, and that has to do with the success of the assault weapons ban. There's a piece that was actually done by Tom Knighton. We follow him a lot. He's a very good guy over at Bearing Arms. We put together a piece talking about Biden's claim. He did a fact check of Biden's claim regarding the assault weapons ban. Now, he says that the assault weapons ban worked. But Mike, all the data, everybody who has studied the assault weapons ban has said it had little to no effect on mass shootings, on gun violence, on mass shootings specifically, or gun violence as a whole.
Yeah, because we know this. It's been proved over and over, time and time again. Assault weapon ban had no reduction in major crime. If anything, crime went up with handguns after that. It did not decrease with assault weapons because assault weapons were never the problem to begin with. It was just the evil's big black scary gun, and we had to get rid of it.
Well, yeah, exactly. So for one thing, in case many of you don't know, the most common thing used even in mass shootings are handguns. They tend to be the most common. Now, the high profile ones that you see people talking about, the most prevalent firearm used is still a handgun, but there is a greater prevalence of semi-automatic center fire rifles. So, but those are, once again, the high profile ones that make up a very small percentage, not just of violence involving firearms, but a very small percentage of even multiple shooting incidents or mass shot or mass casualty events involving firearms.
Very true.
So yeah, no, it didn't work. It didn't work at all. But once again, they continue to tell the lies, and the mainstream media continues to promote those lies. But
Lies.
lies, I tell you. Which, by the way, leads me to a whole different lie that's being told, and that has to do with Joe Biden's Twitter feed. First of all, we all know that Joe Biden doesn't. I mean, I sincerely doubt that he has the sort of following that our former president had on Twitter. But the funny part is, he doesn't even have the following that he has on Twitter. There was an audit that was done recently that determined that half of Joe Biden's Twitter followers are, in fact, fake. They are fake followers. They are bots. They are people who do not actually even exist. First of all, I'm surprised that there are that many fake users or bots there on Twitter. And then secondly, they all must be following Joe Biden.
Yeah, I was going to say, listen, half of Joe Biden is fake. Also, I mean, we know that, right? He's not really all there, so half of him is not. So it kind of makes sense, but. He's got. Listen, it's not simple numbers here, folks. He's got some decent numbers, and how do you feel? You've been duped by a 13-year-old in their garage or in the basement in their underpants. That's what's going on here. Those are half of Joe Biden's Twitter followers.
And you know what? Those are probably they probably also voted.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's probably the margin of victory right there, folks. The number of people who actually voted is probably half his Twitter followers probably voted, and it wasn't the people who were actually following him probably didn't vote for him. It's probably the half that didn't, that aren't real. They're the ones who actually wound up voting for him.
Right. Very true. Too funny.
All right. So, folks, we're going to get to this next one, and we're running kind of fast today because we both got someplace we got to be. So, apologize for the shortness of the show. But this next one you're going to love. Now, yesterday was I don't. What are we gonna? What were her initials again? KJB. KJB. So KJB, who is the new. She is the new press secretary for the president, for the White House, had her first day, or maybe it was the day before yesterday. And needless to say, that her tenure as the communications, as the press secretary did not start off very well, as she was asked a very straightforward question. And I want you to listen to the Kamala-esque word salad that she used in order to respond.
The president's Twitter account posted the other day, "You want to bring down inflation, let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share." Mm-hmm. How does raising taxes on corporations reduce inflation?
So are you talking about a specific tweet?
He tweeted, "You want to bring down inflation, let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share."
Look, we have talked about this past year about making sure that the wealthiest among us are paying their fair share. And that is important to do, and that is something that the president has been working on every day when we talk about inflation and lowering costs. And so it's very important that as we're seeing costs rise, as we're talking about how to build a America that's safe, that's equal for everyone and doesn't leave everyone behind. That is an important part of that as well.
But how does raising taxes on corporations lower the cost of gas, the cost of a used car, the cost of food for everyday Americans?
So look, I think we encourage those who have done very well, right? Especially those who care about climate change, to support a fair tax code that doesn't charge manufacturers, workers, cops, builders a higher percentage of their earnings, that the most fortunate people in our nation, and not let that stand in the way of reducing energy costs and fighting this existential problem, if you think about that as an example. And to support basic collective bargaining rights as well, right? That's also important. But look, it is, without having a fair tax code, which is what I'm talking about, then like manufacturing workers, cops, it's not fair for them to have to pay higher taxes than the folks who are.
Now, At what point did she actually answer the question?
No, and I'm sitting here and I'm lost. This is what we used to call the beach ball theory. You just kind of throw something out there and it bounces around the room. It never really hits the target. It's just words, bounce, words, bounce. And this is what you get. You got her going around the room talking about nothing that has anything to do with reducing, the taxes on the rich and inflation. You know?
Well, you notice how she read 90% of it.
Yeah. Well, that's what Jen told her to do. Yeah.
Who told you that was an answer to the question? So here's the thing. If you raise taxes on the people who who sell and provide products, goods, and services, right? Taxes are a part of the cost of business or part of the cost of the service or part of the cost of the product, right?
Yeah.
That is passed on to the customer, the average everyday person, right? Which means the cost of that product, good, or service goes up. So if it goes up, isn't that causing inflation? It's not cutting inflation.
It's I think, Craig, her answer was about the same as yours, because if you weren't trying to confuse me, you did. But it was I get what you're saying, Craig.
Right.
I understand how inflation works. She does not, and was ready to double down on it and go to the hilt. I mean, how do you think taxing the higher incomes reduces inflation? I don't understand. Unless she's admitting to trickle down theory, if that's what she's telling me. Unless she's saying she wants them to pay more and allow it to trickle down to the lower class. Because if so, we got another copyright infringement on our hands.
Well, first of all, understand that trickle down was always a term that was created by the left. It was never a term or an argument that was argued by the right. It's never been. That's one thing. But the other thing that was interesting, you notice she talked about leaving people behind. So the point is this: the point isn't so much to help people catch up to where, get their incomes or the amount they're paying up to where it's actually to bring people back, to bring their incomes back to where the less fortunate are. So it's not about raising the bar. It's about bringing everyone else down. So
there you go.
And it's not, once again, it's not about making poor people richer. It's about making rich people poorer. That's what their goal is. And she kind of inadvertently said that, making people safe.
That's how she do it. That's how they do it, right? And it's just, she's so new. She actually said it.
Well, exactly. Somebody should have told her. Somebody probably afterwards said, "Yeah, we don't say that in public."
We don't say that here. What are you doing? We don't say that.
Look, not in front of the cameras. We don't say that. We say that in academia. We do not say that in front of the cameras.
That's right.
Just saying.
Yep.
All right, let's move along. And this kind of, to a certain degree, feeds into a little bit what we were talking about when you talk about how you deal with inflation. Well, one of the biggest areas where we've seen inflation is has to do with gas, has to do with oil, right? Because everything that you buy has to be brought to you in a truck, right? It's got to be brought to you in some way using oil, right? Now, you have the President of the United States and you have the White House basically saying, yeah, we can't control the price of oil. That is completely and utterly and wholly outside of our realm. But the White House does control. For those of you who are just watching, you've got Maggie Simpson basically standing here in front of a board, basically saying you can't control the drilling, shipping, storing, refining, buying, selling, trading, and taxing of oil, and then say you don't control oil prices. Now, this is what's interesting about this, and I'll just give you an example. In the state of California, of every gallon of gas, about 60 cents goes to taxes, right? And now even more starting July 1 will be going to taxes because our gas tax is indexed for inflation, and we know how high inflation is. It's going to go up even further.
Yeah, it has absolutely nothing to do with the president's policies. Just remember that. It has nothing to do with them whatsoever. It has nothing to do with his appearances. It has nothing to do with that. The people finding comfort in his words to ease the pain. Nope. No, he's just sitting over there going,
Right.
more, more, more.
And by the way, all of those are within control of government. In other words, you look at the president has basically decided he is not going to allow people to drill where we know oil is. We know that he's cut off pipelines. So now in terms of shipping, we had a pipeline that was going to bring it from Canada down to from Alaska down into the United States. They cut that off now, meaning we have to ship it and use almost as much oil to get it here as they're going to be carrying. Storage and refining. We have not built a new refinery in California since 1969. In the United States, we haven't built a new refinery since 1973, right? And that's all because of environmentalist left-wing policy.
Yeah.
And now what we're also doing is, rather than allowing people to drill here and buying here, we're buying in other places, and we already talked about taxation. All of those are within the control of the government. So yes, the government does have at least some ability to control gas and gas prices. And let's just be honest, they've chosen not to.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
How did that taste coming out of your mouth saying I was right?
Well, listen, we're not talking about California policy, so there's the absolute positive feeling that you could be right. You know?
Okay. All right. Just hating on the Golden State. I see how it is.
Golden showers, baby.
On that note, folks, we're going to call it a day. We just want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. Want to say thank you to each and every one of you who has tuned in. Please remember, like, share, subscribe. Encourage your friends to do the same. And we'll see you tomorrow on Thirsty Thursday.
Welcome. Thank you, Sting, for being here. And welcome to uscombatgear.com. Make sure you check them out today.
Check them out.